hide that one and get that one up there, there. Right. Oh no, hold on. Let me shut down Thunderbird before it makes the noise. Hopefully. Hello. How's everybody doing? How's things? Apologies for any noise. It's the air conditioning. I will be dying if it's not on, so it's gonna stay on. Um, how is everybody? How has your week been? What's everybody been up to? I have been busy as always. When am I not? Andy jump scare. uh, I don't apologize. Hello Ish and hello Essentialist. How you guys doing? How's things? There you go. It's not too bad. Ah, yes. Hello. How has everybody's week been? Hello Simon. How you doing, man? How's things? How's down under winter? Busy this end. How's life at TechteamGB Central Manufactory N1 building? Okay. Well, no. Mixed. Uh, health, no. Stuff, kind of. I have soldered that very, very nice photodiode to the bottom of the expert board. Just look at that. It's beautiful. I need to run tests with it. I think I'm pretty much done with the new latency tools. I'm almost out of stock of the, you might say, current generation tools. So I will be buying some stock of the new board soon. And I'm also still working on my bed cooler PCB, which I really wish I had working because it's so damn hot. But we'll get there. We're getting there. I officially got the piece of paper that says I'm autistic though, so that's nice. Yeah. Alive enough, just eating an orange sorbet out of an orange. Interesting. Hello, Simon S63. Hey, doing, man? How's things? It's cold. You can have it. You can have our warmth, mate. Take it back. It's fancy. Will prod be in super cool gamer black? It will, yeah. These are the manufacturing time for the green PCBs is basically 1 day for the board, the PCB, and then 2 days for assembly. Whereas the black PCBs, it's up to 3 days. So yes, it will. But all the dev and test boards are green. It was on offer at Lidl and tastes pretty good. Fair enough. Yeah, no, Lidl has some great stuff. When do you think Nvidia will release a new RTX generation? Good question. So I'm not the sort of person that keeps my ear to the rumor mill, so probably not the best person to answer this question. My off-the-cuff answer is probably a little later than you would think. They're doing very much in the AI departments, very much in the data center departments, and I genuinely don't believe that the gaming cards are really a priority for them anymore. That's not to say that they won't do them and or that they don't make money from them, but uh, I think that their release window is very much AI, 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 AI. Maybe some of those old graphics card things we used to make. AI, AI. So yeah, I think the answer is probably they have stretched the release window, especially because AMD, while they are making some pretty competent cards, AMD also aren't pushing, like, forcing Nvidia's hand at all, you know? They're not out here making incredible gaming graphics cards that Nvidia really needs to respond to. So, yeah, I don't think there's much incentive for them. I would imagine maybe this year, but probably closer to the end of the year. But also maybe next year. I really don't know. But, yeah, might be a while. As soon as the marketers say this is the best time. Exactly. Hello, Tanmi. How you doing? How's things? Welcome to the chat. And hello, John. How you doing? How's things? Are you at work today? Hello, Joe. How you doing? How's things? How am I doing? Yes. Present. um, like I said, I've officially got the piece of paper that says I'm autistic, so that's nice. Although, okay, right. Small rant. There's a thing called an autism passport, or a health passport, which is this idea that in concept is quite nice, in practice is utterly ridiculous. Basically, the idea is that, like, as someone with both ADHD and autism, I kind of have difficulty in, like, real-time communications, like, face-to-face, and especially with, like, doctors and things, it's really difficult for me to stay on track and, like, fight my case, because the doctors very much just want to, like, focus on one little thing, like, narrow down to the smallest possible problem that they could solve, and then solve it, and get you out of the room. But I struggle with that, right? And so, you know, they should be able to make reasonable accommodations for me, whatever, but they have to know that. And so the currently accepted solution is a thing called an autism passport, which isn't what it sounds. It's like 5 or 6 A4 pages of, like, children's coloring book levels of, like, emergency contact numbers, and then, like, what I like, what I don't like, how I like to be touched, how I like to be talked to, how I like to do this. And the idea of me walking into my doctor's surgery, and before I could, like, bear in mind that NHS doctor's appointments are 5 minutes long, are meant to be anyway. I walk in and hand them 5 A4 sheets, and they have to read that before they can talk to me. And it's like such an infantilized document too. So I'm gonna make my own little business cards that just say, like, I have autism, I struggle with real-time communications, and I also have alexithymia, and, like, that means that I don't describe my physical sensations in the way you expect me to. So please, like, take care to listen to what I'm actually saying, and, you know, use your fucking brain. So yeah. You don't struggle to call me an idiot at PUBG though. Well, that's because I have evidence. I am still alive, John, yes. Yes. I don't have the paper for it, but I'm quite sure I'm on the spectrum one way or another. Kind of dislike people, anxious, probably depression, still work with people daily and seem completely normal. It's exhausting. I forgot where I was going with that. Maybe HD as well then. Well, let's just say if you're watching this live stream, it's not necessarily confirmation, but it's a strong diagnostic factor. One of the biggest problems with autism, it's insanely difficult to get a diagnosis, but when you do, they still don't really know what to do with you when you do get it. Yeah, pretty much. At least I can print off a wee card that says, you need to listen to me better. I don't need Spectrum to excuse my asshole behavior. Hey, I'm very polite in public. uh, it takes a lot out of you to be normal on a daily basis, doesn't it? Well, that's the thing. I've created the circumstances in which I don't need to be normal on a daily basis. um, so yeah, I think the answer is yes. So much so that I'm self-employed and you know, work from home. uh, um, most GPU producers are focusing on enterprise level GPUs rather than home user ones right now. Could be related to profit margins of the products. Well, yeah, the profit margins is probably the a great way of explaining it, because one of those Hopper GPUs that they sell in a server, those servers are $1 million servers, right? Uh, and that is for a couple of bits of silicon that are, that by that, which is frankly massive for a GPU, and they probably spend the majority of a wafer just to get a clean one. But $1 million for a server, for I think the going price for a silicon wafer was something like $60,000 per wafer. I think this is napkin maths and rumor mill stuff, so but that's what the black hole that is my memory is telling me. Versus selling those GPUs to add-in board partners for at most a couple $100 each. Like, maybe you say they're selling the 4090 ones, right? The 4090s, maybe they sell them to the board partners for $800, right? Well, they can still only fit like 20 or 30 4090 chips on 12-inch wafer. So you're really still talking about like not that much money compared to $1 million servers. So that definitely helps, but also it's kind of where the demand is. They're aware that like there is a cost of living crisis throughout the world, and the consumer's ability to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on what is essentially a luxury purchase, right? Like an upgrade to a graphics card, or potentially a new one, is much lower in demand right now than people like OpenAI, Facebook, Google, etc. buying those data center cards to train their AI models and to run the inference, to run the services. So it's where the money is. Sorry, I'm going to skip down a bit. Joe, it took me 4 years to get a diagnosis of chronic OCD, and now they blame every blooming thing that I do or have on the OCD. Talk about cop-outs. So, there's this thing called trans broken arm syndrome, which is where, especially trans women, but trans people in general, if you go to the doctors, even for something like a broken arm, like you fell off your bike and you broke your arm, right? And you go to the A&E, and then they realize that you're trans, they will spend the entire time just asking you about like the transition, what medicines, your mental health, like all that sort of stuff, and you're like, but my arm, bro. And then they'll still leave without, even setting it or even noticing it. So yeah. 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 So yeah, it happens a lot. 5 minutes. It takes damn longer to get my tablets authorized over a phone, and I have a 30-minute appointment with the doctor when I know I'll be well. Yeah, so technically speaking, the appointments are 5 minutes. Practically speaking, anytime I've gone to the doctors, because I'm a bit of a complicated case, it's like 15, but that's kind of them stretching it. Uh, the government doesn't know what to do with me either. They try and get me work, but it fails each time. Self-employed, yo. Uh, like, do you want IT? How about heavy industry material machinery that has nothing to do with IT? Not quite. um, Intel's 7 single wafer is comparable to the price of a Tesla. When you say Tesla, is that the S or the 3? I think the 3, because that's about 40 grand. Um, uh, Joe, mood. I am obviously fairly, I guess, lucky in the sense that the autism is kind of like. So I don't think that this is the term that is used anymore, but it's high functioning in the sense that it's more. I don't like talking to people, yeah. I don't like social situations, yeah. But also, I'm a massive nerd, and I have been able to use my massive nerddom for this and these. um. So yeah. What have I been? Oh yeah, AMD released a new version of AFMF, AMD Fluid Motion Frames, and it's actually better. I don't really know why that's quite a surprise, but I don't know if anyone watched the AFMF video that I did apparently 5 months ago in February. Um, but the long story short for me was that unless you're playing a very specific type of game that really doesn't care about uh, input latency, it's like strategy games, maybe like Sims, like Farming Simulator or whatever, sure. But for anything even remotely like input sensitive, like even single player games like Cyberpunk or Starfield, where you could definitely use the extra performance a lot of the time, the latency that it added was just way too high. So AFMF2 turns out it's actually way better. It's still like it's still frame generation, so it's still taking longer because it still has to look at the newest frame to then be able to draw the in-between frame to then be able to show you the next 2 frames, whatever. But the point is that it is much faster now. The frame gen lag has dropped from like 12 milliseconds to like 5 milliseconds, which is a lot better. I may, if I get that video done, I might put it out tomorrow just because it only came out this week. But yeah, it's cool. Oh yeah, Intel. So for those of you who haven't been um, keeping up, um, Intel has been embroiled in somewhat of a scandal for several months now. In like a really slow, like rolling down a hill dumpster fire that's just gradually getting faster and faster until it's gonna crash into, you know, a big tire fire at the bottom, you know, that kind of thing. So the long story short is that Intel's 13th and 14th gen CPUs have been crashing quite a lot, and Intel initially blamed it on the motherboard vendors. They blamed the motherboard vendors for the thing that they allow them to do, which is mess with the power limits to no end. And so they told the motherboard vendors to stop doing that, but also you can keep doing it. And that kind of went on, and then it got worse. Intel then, after some media reports, Steve from Gamers Nexus, and Steve from Hardware Unboxed actually, and also now Wendell, from Level 1 Techs. Did some prodding, and yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Turns out there are two issues, at least. One of them is oxidation of the internal vias in the CPU. Vias are through-hole ways to connect multiple layers. Luckily, I design electronics. So if you look on the board, it will focus. You can see these traces, and then they just kind of stop at a little dot. That little dot, in fact, actually, focus. Those little dots there are vias. So that dot goes through the board to the other side, and then you can see them coming through just like there. That's those ones there. So those are vias, but imagine those at microscopic scale inside a CPU. This is a microcontroller, but it's the closest thing on this board to a CPU. There we go. Yeah, Intel Rust inside, yeah. So that's one problem. Intel said that they fixed that in sometime in 2023, but they didn't specify how long it had been going on and at what point they fixed it and how many of the CPUs, assumedly all of them that were manufactured before 2023, are affected. So that's one problem. There's another problem that basically the microcode that's in the CPUs that controls, specifically in this case, the voltage regulation, has some faults and has been chronically overvolting. So Intel say that it's only been chronically overvolting all 65 watt or up CPUs. But only the desktop ones. Only the desktop ones. Except people have seen that behavior happen and the instability happen on mobile CPUs too. So, it looks like they're lying again. But yeah, so the basically all Intel 13th and 14th gen CPUs seem to be affected. If they have not started failing yet, there is a very good chance that they will. And there's also a very good chance that even if they haven't started failing yet, and Intel is planning on releasing a BIOS update that should fix the microcode problem and then should fix the, instability issues, or should fix the long-term, as long as your chip isn't already unstable issues. What you call it? But even if that does fix it, if your chip has been running at too high of a voltage, it is degrading. Even if it's not currently displaying symptoms, and even if it's not then also, even if you then give it the BIOS update in a month, there is a very good chance that your chip has degraded itself to the point that it has a significantly reduced lifespan now. Even if it's not currently unstable, and you do the BIOS upgrade as soon as it's available in like a month's time. How this has not triggered Intel to issue a full-scale recall of all of those chips, I do not know. Because they have admitted the fault, they've admitted that it was a them problem, and then they have admitted that, this is going to keep happening until you get this microcode update, which is apparently, as far as I'm aware, not currently available, and won't be until mid-August. But also, that, they have damaged the chip, they've sold you a faulty product. That is not a case of, just warranty it, bro. That is class action lawsuit kind of, issue. And surely it must be better for them to just fix, make it right with the customers rather than tarnish their brand image and submit themselves to class action lawsuits very soon. Surely. I Yeah, Joe, I would think so too. Inso's full of shite. I've had problems with my Coffee Light chips going molten with multi-core enhancement enabled. Shouldn't need more than a decent Terra cooler with 2 fans when running stock recommended default settings. Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? The default settings differ depending on what motherboard you use, and Intel is fine with that. But that's also what Intel initially blamed for this issue. No. Retailers called them on that bullshit. Laptops, at least H series ones, are affected. Yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty obvious. It's a problem with the same silicon. Like, it's all the same chip. It's all the same part. Blank. The BIOS update has not been issued yet. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not a good look when your entire portfolio is failing, both in like server space and client space. Oh, good. No, but it's close. That one, John. I'm rooting for Arc, but I don't think Intel will survive this debacle. Oh, they'll survive just fine. Whether they'll stay the industry leader, I don't know. AMD has only been improving the reputation. Like, Ryzen was a very good start. Like, first gen Ryzen was a very good start. It was a bit unstable, but but it's brand new architecture, like fully new architecture. Whereas, current gen Ryzen and new gen Ryzen, they are all very A, stable now. B, we're arguably more efficient, certainly in performance matters. And C, just as fast, if not faster, in a lot of cases. And also, like, in the server space, AMD's been making waves, like 3D V-cache and, 192 core single chips that you can run in 2P configurations. Like, one of the things from Intel, AMD's Computex slide deck was, hey, you can replace 4 or 5 2-socket Intel Xeon servers from 2018, 2019 with one of our servers. It's like a third or a quarter of the power, but more efficient and faster. Like, I don't think Intel can say that. My mate has both Intel 13th gen failing and his 14th gen H laptop. He's wishing he'd gone Ryzen and will be in the future. Well, on the laptop front, the 13 and 14 gen chips are just faster for gaming, which is kind of annoying because they're way more efficient. Like, the Ryzen chips are way more efficient, and yeah, they don't have this issue. They're not going to catch on fire. And yeah, my mate's 13700K is insanely unstable, constant crashing of applications, Windows, and weird data corruption. That's one of the interesting things from Wendell's video from, I think it was last week. Maybe it was the week before, actually. Either way, where he was talking to like game server providers or like game developers, sorry, to look at their crash logs to see like, okay, this user who's using a 13th or 14th gen chip and is experiencing these crashes, what errors are popping up when it does crash, and there was a wide range of them, including things like NVMe errors and GPU out of VRAM errors, which he was saying one of the two games that he was looking at data from physically cannot use more than 20 gig of VRAM, and so he's looking at people with 4090s who are having out of VRAM error crashes while, you know, the game physically can't use more than 20 gig. The card has 24, you know? Regardless of what settings you put it on, etc. And so, yeah. Intel has some design patents or rights on laptop chassis, cooling they help design for ODMs, so AMD might not have access to the same tooling. Interesting, because like the vast majority of laptops, like I review a fair number of laptops and I almost always take them apart, look at their cooling solutions, etc. And while there have been a couple of weird ones, like the new Nitro V15 that I reviewed from a couple weeks ago, that what you call it? Come on, Brian. That was a bit of a weird cooling package because it put the CPU and GPU together and all the heat sinks on the other side of the GPU. So the CPU and GPU would share two heat pipes. GPU got a third one for free. But that meant that it just wasn't very performant and it was noisy as fuck. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird cooling package, and I did kind of wonder why. Although, let's face it, Acer has had AMD CPUs and NVIDIA GPUs in their laptops for quite a while now, and that they've not had to do that sort of thing before. So I'm pretty sure for a lot of manufacturers it's fine. But yeah. Me neither, John. I mean, I've obviously shaved, but this is about it. I've started getting a bit more fluff on the side and a bit of a stash, but yeah, what you normally see in the videos is all I can do at least right now. I don't think vapor chambers an Intel patent. I hope not. Although it's kind of only Razer that I know of that do vapor chambers for their laptop coolers. So yeah. It's insert Lisa Sue rubbing her hands together meme. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Intel's reportedly considering laying off thousands of employees. Yes. Yeah, they are. They're at least from what I understand, they are planning on laying off thousands of employees to fund their restructuring and recovery. Which is insane because they just got literally billions of dollars in US taxpayer money to fund a new foundry in Arizona alongside TSMC. Yeah, how's that going for them? Actually, do you know what? One of the most interesting signs of Intel's perhaps, I don't want to say desperation, what kind of desperation is that their new chips are being made by other people. Intel's biggest deal for the whole, basically, time that they've been around is that they have been their own fab. They have fabbed their own chips since the beginning, pretty much. Yeah, the fact that they are not fabbing their own chips anymore, or at least not primarily fabbing their own chips, like they're using TSMC N5, N3, N4, N6. And yeah, they might be using Intel 4 or whatever for some of it, maybe. But yeah, the fact that so much of it, if not most of the chip now, is being made by someone else is interesting. Fair play, John. Here is better, yes. I mean, it's going grey, but you know, what can I do? Currently the longest length I've had the beard so far, growing out until I hit 10k subs. Then I'll be changing my name to Gandalf Joe at this rate. Nice. I remember people quoting someone saying, "Real companies own fabs." Yeah, Intel said a lot of things and then quietly had to do the things that they were making fun of. You know, like gluing CPUs together. uh, they're never gonna live that one down. Yeah, yeah, they do. Do you think that TSMC doing Intel chips and AMD has a thing to do with the AMD delay? No, I don't think so. I don't have a reliable source for this, but I was shown an image that suggests that it was more of a packaging problem than a chip problem. Yeah, think it's okay. Although I don't think we have a date on when they're actually. Was it? Didn't Steve from Gamers Nexus say get a statement that was like they're going to launch in mid-August instead? Yeah. Tell me that's great. Caleb, my laptop has issues with CPU cooling. Anything I do to help most make it 200 degrees plus. So can I just confirm, when you say 200 degrees, do you mean Fahrenheit or Celsius? Because one of them is very concerning, one of them is slightly concerning. Yeah, one of them is slightly concerning. Well, honestly, not really that concerning, and one of them is very concerning. Hello, yet another user. Cool, Caleb. I'm glad we sorted that one out. Because 200 degrees Celsius, one isn't possible. They hit TJ max at 205. But if it was, the plastic around it would be on fire. That's almost like soda reflow territory. But anyway, the next thing is 200 degrees Celsius. No, 200 degrees Fahrenheit is 93 degrees Celsius, and unfortunately for laptops, especially those sorts of 10th gen laptops, but really most of them, is they all run at 95, 100 degrees Celsius when under load. When gaming, that is a little high for gaming. Normally gaming is a lower load on the CPU, higher on the GPU, and that kind of balances out. The main thing I would suggest, so your laptop is a good few years old at this point. The 2060 is now 2 generations old. You know, we got 4060 graphics. We're expecting 5060 at some point ish. Yeah, what I would personally suggest, if you're comfortable with it, is to open the laptop up. So turn it off fully, disconnect it from any cables that you have, flip it over, and take out any screws that are on the underneath, and then use ideally a thin plastic tool, credit card or whatever, to pop it open. You'll likely find that the fans are pretty dusty, just happens, and that the heat sinks are also probably fairly dusty and clogged up. So cleaning that out will do a world of good. If you're even more comfortable, you can buy some thermal paste, something like Arctic MX4, I think is still pretty decent and available. But some good thermal paste, Thermal Grizzly makes some good ones as well. And remove the screws that hold the fans and the heatsink and the heat pipes onto your CPU and graphics card. It will normally be one big block together. Take them off, clean, use an isopropyl alcohol and rubbing wipes, whatever. You can even use glasses lens wipes, the disposable ones, because they're just paper and isopropyl alcohol, to clean both sides, the heatsink and the CPU and GPU. Put a grain of rice-sized bit of thermal paste on and put the cooler back together. But obviously, depends how comfortable with opening your laptop and whatnot. John, which I think has just gone off the screen. If you don't feel comfortable opening it up, you can just try sticking a vacuum to all of the ports, all of the air ports, as it were, to try and clean it out. But yeah, that'd be my suggestion. You can try looking up guides for your laptop or your general model of laptop to see how to take it apart and potentially even how to replace the thermal paste. But yeah, the good news is that it going to 200 degrees Fahrenheit isn't the end of the world, especially for laptops. Unfortunately, I wish it was better, but that's what it is. I do actually have a video talking about why laptops end up running at stupid speeds, stupid temperatures. So feel free to take a look at that if you want to learn more. You talking about Intel? Technically, yes. We were talking about Intel, and there are many, many problems. I think just before you arrived. Yeah. Also, something often overlooked is the locational laptop when in use. If you have it on your bed, you can suffocate it. Yes, in fact, I did a video on that too. Yeah. And it does make quite a big difference if you're blocking the ports. It's never been cleaned out, so I'll probably get some canned air, take it to the fans, see if it makes a difference. Thanks a lot. No worries. Hope it helps. Oh, tis one. If it's Celsius, then so you don't have a laptop, you have a stove. And the end, why is my laptop burning my fingerprints off my fingertips? Yeah. I have tested a few laptops where I've touched the key and gone. And I generally report on that in the review. Yeah, it's not ideal when that happens. Repasting laptops is like full disassembly. Kind of. It depends on what how the laptop's set up, though. Some of them aren't too bad. You can also unlock the BIOS and play a little with voltages. That's what I did with an MSI laptop from my wife. Wink, wink, Andy. Nice. Was it perhaps an MSI Bravo 15? The first AMD laptop they did. I wouldn't recommend any Thermal Grizzly products as they tend to dry quickly and are mostly made for peak performance. Fair enough. It suggests Thermalright TFB or Gelid JC Extreme for laptops. So there you go. If you do want to replace it, there's you go. My poor car had its MOT today on a separate note. Needed a bit of work to pass the second time, but it's okay now. Feel like I'd lost a limb not having a car for a whole day. Do you know what? I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. What was wrong with it? Also, don't you have a mobility car and therefore it's cheap? Not cheap. New and therefore doesn't need an MOT. I had to get a bus. Just imagine. That's the thing. I live right next to a quick fit, so I take it there and I walk home and then I walk back an hour later. And if I need, you know, if it were to fail, I can just drive it here, fix it, and drive it back. um. Uh. Ah, right. Okay, got it. That explains it. What failed? Like, what failed in the first 3 years of ownership that meant you needed to have that fixed? I'm really confused. I know. So here's a fun thing. The uh second to most recent version of the Ford Fiesta. I can't remember model years, but like 2009, 10 to like 2015 or something. Those had a serious problem with the rear springs snapping. And so basically, like I've talked to quite a few garages around here, and you know when we've been generally chatting about automotive horror stories, they say, "Oh yeah, those Fiestas, we had 3 in this week for their first MOT, like after 3 years, their first 3 year MOT, and it that was like the rear springs were snapped. On 2 of the 3 of them, both were snapped. Like, yeah. Disc brakes, CV boot split. They were supposed to have that fixed a bit ago, and a minor coolant leak. Wiper blades were too bare. Interesting. Well, the disc brakes, fair enough. The CV boot, I'm shocked that that was failing already. And a minor coolant leak. It's the Stellantis product. What did you expect? Weird thing about laptops, had this repair once. People carrying them in backpacks and constant mechanical abuse makes the screws loosen, so retightening SOC screws helped immensely. Interesting. Talking of cars, I need to book a manual service. I mean, how handy are you with a wrench? Because I can guarantee you it doesn't cost much to service it. I would know I service all of mine and my friends and family's cars. Yeah. Do you still have the insignia? Or have you swapped since then? It has been a while, hasn't it? Mine told me the other day it was due for a service. I mean, the law of averages says probably a couple of you are due for service right now. So. I just nodded and said okay when they said it needed to do the work. Motability had to sort it. If it were my own, I would have been more inclined to ask questions. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Like, at the end of the day, it's not actually your car, so... yeah. I hope you're doing well. Present. It's due a major service. Insignia GSI. I mean, major service is oil, maybe spark plugs, and like maybe auxiliary belt, some filters, whatever. Like, it's still, as someone who does those services on my own and friends and family's cars, it's not that big a deal. But you know, I'm also aware that not everybody is in the time, space, tool, and even just like effort position that I am in that allows me to do that. So yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, I am in a sort of fortunate position that cars sit well in my in my brain, or mechanics does, and so yeah. My dad had an error in the ECM in his brand new 2022 Suburb. superb, and it basically transformed it into a brick, dead in the middle of a junction. Amazing. Love that. Um, I'm a mechanic, and I take my car to the dealer while it's under warranty, but do the interim oil change myself. Yeah, fair. I mean, I've never owned a car that has had warranty or like dealer warranty, so I've never needed to take it to a dealer. Um, yeah, no. If it was still under warranty, yeah, sure. But yeah, I buy old, reasonably high mileage cars because I'm aware that I can fix them, and deal with any potential problems that might arise. So, I take mine to my mechanic, usually around £150, and he gets it up in the air and checks everything for me before it's MOT. Fair enough. Like I said, I work on my own cars. I get it up in the air and check it myself, for the most part. So, but also I have the time, tools, and effort required, and you know the sort of skills and knowledge to know what I'm looking for. So, um, I appreciate not everyone has that. The only complaint I have about the combo is the shoddy build quality inside, all the panels falling off, falling to bits and barely put together. You can lift the entire center console up if you try. Yeah, well, again, PSA/Stellantis product. What did you expect? um, uh, well, Joe, but you know, VAG does that. Like all of the stuff is the same between well now Ford and VAG cars, and they managed to make it a nice enough experience inside. So, my wife chose a Fabi as her daily driver and won 8 years of free dealership service. Very lucky. Nice. Fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, you know, if they haven't, you know, oh, it's a free service, but if you want, you know, these other necessary things, you got to pay. Um, but yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's pretty great value. Um, yeah, nice. I crawl on the floor for a living. I'm not doing that in my leisure as well. Don't blame me. Um, uh, John, mobility is the government provided disability scheme. So it's basically the UK government pays for Joe's car, or very least pays for the car itself and the maintenance and things like if he needs new tires, he gets new tires for free. Um, all that sort of stuff. There's quite a lot of conditions, and you have to meet quite a lot of criteria to not apply for it. Well, apply for it, but to qualify for it, you have to be pretty disabled, basically. Um, and so, yeah. Fair play, yeah, another user. I mean, that's not really surprising for me, but I mean, if you're getting great value from it, then that's all that matters, right? I get my jogger in a few weeks. I'll be prepared to be ill with envy. I'm ill already. I don't need the envy. um, John, we're definitely backwards in some ways, though. Hello, Chris. Welcome. Glad you could Sneak in right at the end. Trust me, this is the Balkans. I mean, my best friend is Bulgarian. I've heard. The extreme version too. Nice. My iFlash quad micro SD board has arrived. Nice. Enjoy having, I assume, quad micro SD cards on your iPod Touch? Or Nano? Whichever one else. Oh, that's worse. Fair play. Playing top trumps with entire states. Great keychron experience. I'm still happily rocking a Newfie Halo 75. Newfie have actually offered me a couple of boards. I'm yet to take them up on that offer. Because I'm not realistically I'm not that interested in keyboards when they have what you call it when they have an interesting feature like the Razer one or whatever else. They like that's what, you know, tickles my brain enough for me to care about it. But a general keyboard experience, I really struggle with writing about qualitative, you know, feelings, like how a keyboard feels. Like I can tell you, well, it's kind of clicky, feels fine, firm enough, and that's kind of where it ends. I'm not the sort of person who can talk eloquently at length about the intricacies of how keys feel to me or whatever, and so that makes it difficult for me to write like interesting and unique reviews, you know. So yeah. Well, firm or mushy, you know. Tech question, kinda. I've been searching for years for a proper quick release camera mounting system that actually works and is simple enough. Any suggestions? I've tried all sorts and still fiddly. I I use a Manfrotto fluid head primarily, and so I to be able to swap between stuff that I really don't like. I don't swap between tripods or anything much, but when I do, because I have that Manfrotto head, I bought a quick release plate that uses Manfrotto's sizing, so I can quick release. It's just a little tab on the side that you basically just half turn to lock, half turn, and then pull to pop off. So yeah. No, I'm not a keyboard connoisseur. No, I'm really not. Monitors, I'm massive nerd for. Monitors, I'll talk all day at you about the various intricacies of monitors, mostly because I have the data to you know, back it up. That's why I have several tools. But yeah, keyboards, ain't me cheap. Same with mice, actually. Again, it's the qualitative part. Like, yeah, it feels alright. Play games good. Here's some data. So it's not actually. I use a Manfrotto head, but the quick release plate that goes in the bottom of the camera, which admittedly is quite long, so that might not work for you. But I think the quick release plates that I have are from Newer, Neewer. Yeah. Mice are impossible to choose though, getting hands-on experience. Yeah, that's what the thing is that, like, I have the benefit of, you know, getting review samples and then getting a load of mice in and then just having played with a lot of mice, and so I know what I like, but it's really hard for me to then translate my experience with liking a mouse because it fits my hand and plays, plays to my style, plays to my preferences, whatever, versus like giving objective analysis from feel alone, because I don't have all of the tools necessary to give you all of the quantitative data for how the mouse performs that then can inform your decisions, whatever. And so yeah, I have too many monitors. Last count about 30. I think I have slightly fewer than that just because I don't have space for it, because I probably have 30 between the couple of locations that I have monitors. Yeah. Leave that stuff for Rocket Jump Ninja. Yeah. Yeah. Is it Provoked Pawn as well? I do. Just say it's fine. I do, and that's all you get. That's why my mouse reviews are 3 minutes long. Oh dear. Yeah. Feeling is subjective. Well, it is, but in theory, reviewers have the ability to take their subjective feelings and compare their subjective feelings across having tested, tens or hundreds of the same sort of product, and then be able to infer things from that subjective analysis. Which I can do to a degree, but not to the degree that I'm happy with, that motivates me to do it more. Pretty much, Chris. And nice, Joe. And here are the numbers. Yeah, exactly. I was watching monster reviews too. Um, Ah, right. I think I'm going to call it there. I'm far too hot, even with the AC on, because portable AC units are useless. Uh, so I wish you all the best. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Hope you all stay safe. Hope you all have fun. And yeah, I'll see you next week for stream. What's the favorite things to read? Monitors. Monitors, by far. I have the tools and data to be able to test it. Yeah, I'll catch you guys next week for stream, as always, Thursday night, 8 p.m. UK time. And yeah, see you next week. Hello, Misty. Unfortunate timing.